Now, more than ever, infants are being given phones, watching TV, or even having their own tablets to play with. But is this a bad thing? Experts say yes, but I think they're wrong. Mostly, but we'll get to that. I've been doing months of research now, and I've come up with 6 main takeaways that range from good to the better to the best ways that screens and media can be used with your infant. And stick around to the end for a mystery 7th takeaway that might just blow your socks off. Starting off with the good, we get to explore why the experts are putting no in techno, which is physical health. You see, their main worry is that children are going to be on their devices rather than playing around outside. So they were wondering if there was any connection between screen time and obesity. And they were sort of right. I mean, they found that children over 2 years old were, on average, slightly heavier after more than 2 hours of screen a day. But there was no connection to a child who wasn't previously obese and to being obese. Despite this, the people at the AAP and the CDC ran with it, saying that, yes, children over 2 shouldn't have more than 2 hours of screen time a day, or eventually a week. But then just said that children under 2 should have no screen time. Just because. Now, this was done in 1999, and the recommendation has barely changed. One thing that parents are often annoyed with by technology is that their child may not want to get off their device. And this is probably because most apps on the App Store are not developmentally appropriate for kids, with most research articles not even listing one good app for infants. Even ebooks can be a problem if not used correctly. For example, many parents found that if they have autoplay on in their book, the child is more irritable and less likely to put the device away when it's time. But they found that if they turned off this feature and the child has to actually press next page, the child actually feels more in charge of their environment. So they'll be less likely to try to take control of other areas, like nap time. Note that ebooks are preferably done with the caregiver present to point things out and to generally teach the child how to use the device. And speaking of being with your child while they're on their device, there is much for your child to learn from technology. Studies have found that even children under 2 years old can learn from a screen, just not as well as in person is. So when watching high-quality educational shows with your child, like PBS Kids or Sesame Street, although they aren't rated for those under 3, the research shows that more repetition is needed for an infant to learn through a screen, and the infant tends not to remember the information for as long as the IRL teaching. But if you talk about what's happening, point things out, or repeat lessons learned from the video as if it was a book, then the gap between virtual and physical teaching becomes much smaller. But what if you just don't have the time or the ability to sit with your child all day, or your child can't fall asleep before watching or listening to their favorite piece of media first, or you just can't even catch a break on the toilet. Just using a phone or tablet to make them quiet. It's becoming alarmingly common. In the research, doing this every so often is completely fine, especially if it's for your mental health. But if it becomes too common, that's when we start to see all of the problems that I've previously mentioned, including others like if used too close to bedtime, then we see reduced sleep. That said, there are so many reasons to use your device to distract your child to be quiet just a little bit longer, like on a long car ride, or like I previously said, if you need a little break to recharge, or one of the best uses I've seen is surgeons and nurses using the device to help calm a child down before a big procedure or needle. They say it's basically a cure-all for hospital anxiety for those who are just willing to try it out. Now we're getting to the best of the best reasons that tech can actually be used with infants. And don't think I forgot about our mystery reason. But first, even though games may not all be developmentally appropriate for our little ones, we do actually see some development still happening. One study found that almost every single type of play was shown through the support of their devices. For example, a child in the study was washing a dinosaur in their game, but got up, picked up one of their own toy dinosaurs, and mimed washing it. This clearly shows that these seemingly simple games can actually be used to model real-world activities that our infants can copy and learn about the world from, with the only types of play that were not shown being rough and tumble play and recapitulative play, meaning the use of survival instincts during their play. Now, remember when at the beginning of this video, I said that I only mostly disagree with the experts? Well, this is it. The best thing a child can possibly use a device for, with most if not all modern research actually specifically calling this out as an exception to the rule for children under 2, is video calling. The only bad thing this does is get in the way of other activities if it goes on for too long, which is true for basically everything. Experts recommend that calls only last about 30 minutes per. Not only does this benefit social ability and cognitive development, but also infants learn just as well as real life with these video chats. Like I said, exception to the rule. You see, the bad thing about technology doesn't seem to have to do with screens at all, but it really has to do with responding to the infant in real time, not its 3D-ness or whatever. And now, the mystery tidbit that I've been hiding this whole time from you is not actually about the virtual world, but the texture one, which is still very important for a baby's development. Anything's a toy at that age, from the socks on their feet to the phone in your hand. All are very important for a baby's exploration. And devices actually have a very unique texture, which they may not find anywhere else, therefore boosting their worldview and development. Now, to summarize everything that we just learned is that 1, devices don't cause obesity, just a little bit of weight gain, which can be easily avoided with movement. 2, to avoid overstimulating your child, be mindful about how your child interacts with the device. If it does everything for them, and they will not learn as much self-control from their play. Third, children under 2 can learn from screens. It just takes a bit more effort on your part than if they were older. Fourth, it's alright to give your child a device for them to be quiet sometimes, but it's not good for them to be quiet all of the time. Fifth, there's always a learning opportunity, with apps on a device to be used as inspiration for their next IRL playing experience. And finally, sixth, feel free to let your infant be on a video call, because it's not the screen that's bad. It's about how you use it that makes all the difference.